I'm Simmy. Welcome to my channel, Class in the Cloud. On this channel, you will find tips and suggestions to help you get started and to make a success of your online teaching and online learning journey. So if you have not watched the previous videos, make sure to hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss my next video. And most importantly, you don't miss my next series. Right, so let's jump right into it. Today's video is all about preparation. And I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for one-on-one 25-minute lessons. Quick and easy guide. Right, so you have passed your interview, you've passed your mock class, you set up your classroom, and you're ready to teach. Now, how do you prepare for these online lessons? I've put together a foolproof system that saves me both time and energy. Now, the experts would tell you, and you would have read in your TEFL notes, and you would have seen on some other videos, that for every minute that you teach, you need to prepare. This is simply unrealistic, especially if you're teaching multiple lessons every day. So as mentioned, I have a foolproof system and I'm going to share that with you right now. So here we go. On the board, I have a spreadsheet. Now, this is a nice spreadsheet. It gives me a nice outline to see my whole day on one page. The first column would be the time of my lessons. Now, my times are in Beijing time. This is for a simple reason. My students live in the Beijing time zone and my support team live in the Beijing time zone. So it just makes sense that I should organize my life around Chinese time zones. Even my laptop is set at Beijing time. That's just my personal preference. In the beginning, it makes life easier. Right now, 2 to 3 years down the line, I can make the time switch like that, but I would be very careful to check your time zones, especially in the beginning. You do not want to be an hour late for class or an hour early. Right, so time in Beijing time. Next, you have your classroom ID. Now, this is like a virtual classroom key. On most teaching platforms, each lesson has its own virtual classroom number. And this is a very important number for you to be able to access your classroom and for your support team to come and assist you should you need them during the lesson. I write these down not because I'm pedantic, but because sometimes if the teacher platform website page is not working the way it should, I still have the lesson ID so I can still access the classroom from the application if I can't get in through the website. Right, so we have our classroom, we have our time. Next, we will look at the lesson code. Now, the lesson code is the number given to the PowerPoint presentation that you will be teaching, also known as a PPT. Usually on this lesson code, you will have the curriculum code, the level that the student is teaching, the unit number, and the lesson number. It is important to check these very carefully, especially if you're selecting the PPTs from a list. You do not want to be selecting the wrong PPT by accident and teaching the wrong lesson. You can get into quite some trouble. I've done that. Double check your lessons. Right, so we have our time, we have our classroom, and we have our lesson material. Next online, we are going to look at the student ID and student English name. Now in China, most people have a Chinese name and an English name. And it is important that you learn and know your student's English name. If you don't know the student's name, you can always go to the previous comments or feedbacks that other teachers have made. Perhaps I've written the name down there. It is always great to greet your student by name and to mention the student's name in feedback. It comes across as professional and shows that you really care. So learn your students' names. Eventually, you'll be able to match up the profile name to the English name by just glancing, but I always write it down just for reference. Now that we've got the admin out of the way, which shouldn't take you more than a minute if you're copy and pasting, we can get to our actual preparation. I will go onto the teacher's platform the day before, and I will look at all my lessons for the next day. On the teacher platform, I can then also select the lesson that I'm teaching and I can open it. Now, I would suggest not to prepare your lesson more than 24 hours in advance. The reason why I say that is because on live schedules, students can still book a lesson or cancel 4 hours before the lesson time. So I usually do my prep the day before, and then 30 minutes before my first lesson, I double check everything. Right, so back to the day before. So it's now the day before, and I can see the 10 lessons that I have booked for the next day. I don't necessarily go into each classroom, but I do open each PPT. On the PowerPoint presentation, I will flip through it very quickly. I'll pick up keywords that I need to teach, basic grammar, and key sentence patterns. It is important to write these down and to even practice them in front of the mirror if you're not familiar or if you're not comfortable, to make sure that you model it correctly and that you pronounce it correctly. Once I've written all those down, I will obviously have an idea of the lesson topic. Sometimes I will add a song. Now, it is important to remember 25 minutes is not long, and it is very important for the student to speak as much as possible within these lessons. Remember that your lesson is most likely their only English contact time for the entire day. So you don't want a song taking up that time. You don't want to be speaking all the time. The student needs to be speaking at least 70% of this lesson. So for my younger students, sometimes if I'm doing phonics, there'll be a short ABC song, or if we're doing days of the week or months of the year, you can add a song as a warm-up, but it shouldn't be longer than 1.5 to 2 minutes. Next, I will also look at what flashcards I need, what props I might need, and put all those aside for the next day. Especially if my day starts at 4 a.m, everything is together to start. The next thing I'll do is I'll look at the number of slides on my PowerPoint presentation. This gives me a good idea of how quickly or how slowly I can work. I like to end my lessons on the 24th minute and do my wrap up in the 24th minute into the 25th minute. That shows that you are prepared because you taught all the slides, and it gives the parents or the student a sense that they've actually got their money's worth. In the beginning, timestamps do help for that, but the more you teach within the 25-minute time frame, the better you'll become. And looking at the number of slides definitely does give you an idea of how fast or how slow you need to go. Then we get to the last column. This column you will only use after your lesson. I usually try and jot down a quick shorthand notes on pronunciation, grammar, and sentence patterns that the student might have battled with. This helps me to do a more comprehensive feedback when I do my feedbacks at the end of the day. Some people don't do that, but I like to do that because I tend to be a little bit forgetful, and you don't want to be copy and pasting and just writing generic feedback for every student. That is not just unprofessional, it's just impersonal. So to have a nice shorthand system takes you 10 seconds after your lesson, dup, 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 this is what the student battled with, and off you go to your next lesson. And that is my 25-minute lesson preparation. I hope that you found this video informative. And if you did, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to know how you prepare for your lessons. But for now, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I am Simmy. This is Class in the Cloud. Goodbye.